Are you jealous? You are? Yeah. It's pretty cool. This is a Wilderness Systems Radar 135 fishing kayak. Today I'm going to show you guys how to install a trolling motor on your kayak. So the supplies you need for this mod are really simple. You need some aluminum angle and you need some 2x10. The first step is to remove this center pod right here. Put that on the ground for now. This is actually probably the hardest step in this whole mod. You're going to want to take a piece of cardboard and you're going to want to trace it out so you have the opening here where the flex pod or where the pod goes, and you're also going to want to punch holes in it so you know exactly where these holes are so you can make those holes in your aluminum angle. Once you have your template made, take your 10-inch pieces of aluminum angle, set them on the template, and you're going to want to punch 3 holes in your aluminum angle. These holes need to be big enough for a 1/4 inch bolt, but maybe do them a little bigger because it's really hard to get these holes lined up perfectly. If you do exactly a 1/4 inch, they probably won't line up. Once you have your holes drilled, you're going to want some 1/4 inch bolts, some lock washers, and some normal washers. I believe these bolts are 1/4 inch by 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of the inch is the length. Then you're going to want to screw those down. You're going to do that just to make sure all 3 of your holes lined up perfectly. Because if they didn't, you're going to have to drill those holes a little bigger or cut a new piece of aluminum angle. So after everything lines up here, we're going to move down here and we're going to go to our piece of 2x10. We're going to cut a piece that's 10 inches long. So measure it out, cut 10 inches. Once you're done that, this is where you're going to need a jigsaw. So the final product is going to look like this piece right here. I just stained this with some waterproof staining. So once we get on the water, this wood won't rot out. So what you're going to want to do is cut your pieces 10 inches long. And then from there, let me just kind of draw this out for you. So we're going to say that's 10 inches. Right here will be 2 inches. Right here, we'll say that's 2 inches as well. Now obviously this isn't measured, this isn't accurate. So you'll cut that off there. This will be 2 inch. This will also be 2 inch. So once you have your piece done, you'll measure up about 5 inches. So once you're done that, and you got your 5 inches measured there, you'll take some kind of lid. This is obviously very sloppy, guys, because I'm not doing this again. And you will trace around that lid, and that's how you'll get your curve. So you'll take your jigsaw, you'll cut up 5 inches, then you'll make your curve, and then you'll cut down 5 inches. Your finished product will hopefully look something like this. It's really wet right now, so I'm going to continue this video tomorrow after this is dry. Alright, so it's day 2 here. Everything's nice and dry, stained, and pretty well sealed. The next step is to take your 7-inch pieces of aluminum angle and line them up on your piece of wood. You want everything to be nice and flush on the sides and on the bottom. Once you've done that, you want to take a 5/16 drill bit and drill holes through the aluminum and through the wood. Once you're done, it'll look like that and like that. The next step after that, you'll need 4 5/16 stainless steel bolts, 8 washers, 4 nuts, and preferably 4 lock nuts. So once you have all of those supplies, we're going to put this together and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So once you have all your holes drilled and all your bolts and your washers installed, this is how it should look. All right, so we got the first set of rails installed. We got the trolling motor mount built. The next step is to line this mount up on the rail system. And drill 2 holes all the way through the rails and through both pieces of angle iron. Then you're going to want to stick 2 bolts in each side, and that's going to hold the trolling motor mount to the rail system. Before you drill your last set of holes through the aluminum angle, make sure to test fit your trolling motor. You don't want to drill these holes too far back, or the back of your trolling motor will catch on the bottom of your kayak when you try to lift it up. And you don't want to drill them too far forward, or the blades of the trolling motor will hit on the back of the kayak when you try to lift it up. Another thing I should mention is that if you look at the trolling motor and you look at this bracket right here, if you look around the other side, you can see there's not much of a gap between the trolling motor and the bracket. So the bolts you're going to want to use to mount the actual trolling motor mount to the rail system are the bolts that come with your kayak. These are the ones with a round head. So when you put that round head in there, it's not as much surface area as a hex head. A hex head, your trolling motor is going to rub against that hex head because it's a lot thicker than the rounded head. So just make sure you use the rounded head so everything slides nice and smooth. The back ones probably don't matter right here, or I guess that's the ones at the front of the boat, but the ones on the other side at the back of the boat over here, they're for sure going to rub if you don't use rounded bolts instead of the hex bolts. All right, so there's the trolling motor mount installed. I think it looks awesome. Like I mentioned before, we got our bolts with a rounded head up front. We got our hex bolts in the back. We're going to throw the trolling motor on here and see if it works. All right, guys, we're all done. So here it is. I think that looks awesome. I think it's a much cheaper alternative than the $2,000 Wilderness Systems options out there. Not saying those are bad options if you have the money, but this will definitely get you on the water and help you catch some fish. Another thing you'll have to know to make this work is when you get this trolling motor, this head will be rotated the other direction. So the handle will be facing the front of the boat when you're sitting in your seat. All you have to do is there's a little nut and a bolt there. And at the bottom, right there, there's a screw. Take out that screw, that nut and the bolt. Take this head, rotate it, put that screw back in, and that's all you need to do. As you guys can see, the trolling motor sits at a pretty good height in relation to where you'll be sitting. It will be comfortable to operate the trolling motor. You can lower this collar a little bit and gain about an extra 4 inches of clearance. You can move the handle any direction. It clears the bottom of the boat in every position. Like I said, you can lower it a little bit more if you're worried. I'm not sure where I'm going to run the wiring yet. I'll figure that out later, and I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out on your own. Everyone's going to have their own idea on that. I just wanted to mention that I did see a design very similar to this online in one of the kayaking forums. So I didn't invent this design, but I figured I'd make a video and someone else can definitely benefit from it. I changed it up a little bit, but overall it's pretty similar, so I just didn't want to take credit for someone else's design. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you decide to do this mod, let me know in the comments. Let me know how it works out for you. Thanks, guys. See you later.